half of my life, I was fascinated with everything that had any connection to ghosts, demons, or anything creepy. I loved bats. Cemeteries were a place of peace to me. I loved the smell of moist cellars as much as anything that could give me goosebumps. Naturally, at one point, I came in contact with the occult. A friend of mine practiced alchemy and was studied in summonings and demonology. I must have been around 15 or 16 when I received an urgent sounding call from her in the middle of the night. You need to come over. I need your help. I didn't even ask and immediately went on my way. Luckily, she was living pretty close to me. When I reached her home, she was standing outside waiting for me. Thanks for coming. I got a frantic call from a girl I know from school not too long ago. They said that they needed my help. Apparently, they were playing with a Ouija board and messed up, and they want me to sort out their mess. I don't trust this. These girls hate me. And if it is some sort of trap, I'd rather have someone with me. To me, this was no problem. She did not have any friends at school, got avoided and bullied, and had fallen victim to a similar trap. I knew the people that had called her, and I also knew what they were capable of. To be prepared for everything that might happen, I put a jackknife in my pocket, and she took her dog. It was a German-Canadian Shepherd mix with snow-white fur. If we ended up in a trap, outnumbered, this dog would have become the ace up our sleeves. Together, we went to the caller's home. After we took a deep breath and prepared ourselves for anything that could have happened, we rang the bell. The door was torn open, and we stood in front of 3 girls with pale faces distorted with fear. "Thank God you're here! Thank you!" shouted the girl who lived in the house we entered. Slowly, looking in every direction, my friend asked what was wrong. While I was still looking, this might have been a trap. Prepared for every possible scenario of an ambush, the girl frantically explained. "I have the place to myself since we are moving in a couple of days, and we decided to play with a Ouija board. At first, nothing happened at all. But then the planchette started moving on its own, and the cupboard started opening up and closing violently. The cutlery was flying through the room and everything. I believe we really did summon a ghost." "Got 3 questions for you," my friend answered in a cold voice. "Did you protect yourself with a spell or a protective ritual?"
"A what?"
answered the girl out of breath. So that's a no. Second question. Have you asked for the entity's name?
"What? No."
We got as a reply. Fine. Last question. Did you finish the game? Did you say goodbye and put the glass underwater or destroy it?
"No, of course not. We pulled it out of the room and called you. Do you really think we would have stayed in there all calm?"
That's understandable. Okay. I think you did not summon a ghost, but a demon instead. After what I heard, I think you disturbed this entity. Did not introduce yourselves, asked for something, and finally, you did not dismiss it. I'd be pissed at you too. My friend told the girls that in order to get this demon out of the house, they need to finish the game and properly dismiss this entity. As they heard that they would have to go back into that room, they vehemently refused. It took some persuasion and the threat that my friend would leave to get them to comply. Apparently, there would not have been any other way to help them otherwise. I still wasn't convinced of all this. The dog, on the other hand, was very calm. This was calming to me. As much as I wanted to believe this situation, to me, it appeared far-fetched. And since these girls hated my friend, and all of a sudden they called her, of all people, for help, I still thought it was too suspicious. After a short period of time, in which the girls gathered all their courage, I let them show me the way to the room in which they were playing. As I stood in front of the door, my friend's dog suddenly changed behavior. He growled at the door and nervously walked up and down in front of it. Something definitely was off. I immediately thought of this place of an ambush. I opened my jackknife and walked inside the room. The first thing that I felt was a blast of freezing cold air. There was only one small window, which was densely fogged. The room itself looked chaotic. Everywhere laid broken dishes and glass. The cupboards were all open, and there were moving boxes everywhere. In the middle of the room was the Ouija board, with a shot glass, on top of a makeshift table built from stacked up moving boxes. Around it, there were 3 chairs. Some more were placed on the wall in the corner. The shot glass was positioned at the word "No" on the Ouija board. What was the last question you asked this thing? I asked the girls.
I don't know anymore. I believe it was if it wants to play or something. I really don't remember. We can't just leave again? Please?
Don't you dare. My friend barked at them. If we don't finish this, this thing will stay, and who knows what it will do next. Go to the table and sit down where you were seated before. The dog could not be calm anymore. He perpetually growled and showed some aggressive behavior, despite being calm and peaceful before. My friend decided to bring the dog back to the living room and leave him there. When she returned, we took 2 chairs from the corner of the room and looked at the radiator. It was running on full force, but the room itself stayed freezing cold. That was to be expected, my friend murmured to us. We sat down with the girls at the makeshift table, and thus began the most frightening night of my life up to that point. Everyone placed their fingers on the shot glass, and my friend began speaking calmly. Hello, my friend and I want to join the game. Would you give us your name, please? Nothing happened. My name is Christina. And yours? Slowly, the shot glass began moving. With every small move, the girls shrieked and tears started running down their faces. They flinched out of fear and took their fingers off the glass, but put them back after my friend glared at them. Trickily, and only some millimeters at a time, but perpetually, the glass moved. I was convinced that one of them would just fuck with us, and asked, Okay, who of you guys is this? Shh! My friend silenced me immediately whilst the glass spelled out the word, Zekar. Hello, Zekar. What are you? My friend continued asking. And the glass started moving. D. I. A. L. My friend seemed sort of relieved, while everyone else was looking at each other, confused. What's that supposed to mean? Dial? I asked, trying to make sense of the word, thinking of it in its English equivalent. No, a dial is a harmless type of demon. Well, more or less. Harmless, that is. The eyes of the 3 girls opened wide, and one of them even started crying. I had to regain control of my facial expression as well. It focuses more on destruction and mischief rather than death and annihilation. Nevertheless, we need to get rid of it. If its mood changes further, it might get really dangerous. Listen up. I will end this game now, and I will tell you how to proceed any further. Okay, Zekar. It was very nice getting to know you. We want to thank you for your appearance
and now we release you back into your realm." As soon as she ended that sentence, all hell broke loose. The cupboards began opening and closing violently. We startled up. One girl jumped out of her chair and pressed herself, crying out of panic against the other two. The shot glass jumped up to the word "no" and jittered back and forth there. Sometimes it jumped a little, making the knocking of itself on the Ouija board a sign of the spirit's discontent. I got startled so much that my breath stopped and my heart jumped. I was never that scared in my whole life. My friend began to repeat her farewell more vigorously. "We invited you here, and now we farewell you. Go." But it was to no avail. The cupboard doors wildly flung around, and the moving boxes started moving. The already filled ones just moved a few centimeters, but the empty ones were downright thrown across the room. Finally, my friend grabbed the shot glass, which up until that moment was still pointing at the word "no." That moment, the Ouija board itself jumped a good 5 centimeters into the air. I don't know if I jumped out of a scare out of my chair or if it was ripped away from underneath me. The only thing I know is I landed pretty hard on the floor and watched my friend blow into the glass and throw it against the wall, shouting, "Go!" The glass burst into millions of pieces, sending them flying all across the room. Everything calmed down again. The cupboard doors stopped moving and everything went quiet again. Out of breath, I stood and tried to wrap my head around what I just witnessed. As I looked across the room, I saw my friend was standing upright, all tensed up, listening for any sign or any sound, and looking around suspiciously. My friend and I were unharmed, besides my back hurting a little bit from the hard fall I just took. The 3 girls, on the other hand, plastered with glass shards. They had them on their clothes, in their hair, and were even cut in different spots where they got hit by the glass. Besides the girls' whimpers and me trying to catch my breath again, the room was dead silent. After a short moment, my friend relaxed and ordered us to leave the room. The girls did not need a second invitation. They bolted out of the room as fast as they could. My friend took a necklace with a cross out of her pocket and began wrapping it around the lamp. Together, we left the room and closed the door behind us. We walked into the adjacent living room, where she glared sternly at the scared, pale girls. "Never do this again. You were lucky today, but next time you might not. It's important to keep all doors in this house closed for now, especially the one to this room. Got it? Leave everything as it is until tomorrow. No one enters this room until noon tomorrow. After that, you can clean up this mess. But until then, the room is strictly taboo. Do you understand?" The girls shakily nodded. My friend leashed her dog again and went with him to the door to see how he would react. This time, the dog remained calm. She turned to me and with a slight move of her head, she let me know that we would leave now. "We're done here," she said. I turned around and walked to the front door. As I opened it, I turned to the girls again and mentioned, "You know, from now on, you really should consider being more friendly to her, at least in appreciation of today." I tried to be bold and fearless on the outside through all of this, but within, I just was as disturbed and scared as the 3 girls. When the door closed behind us, I looked at my friend and shook my head in disbelief and asked her, "What the fuck just happened?" She kept a straight stare into the night, wrapped her dog's leash around her wrist, and calmly answered, "What always happens if people let themselves in for things they better should have stayed away from."
Or do you think that was purely coincidental that all the glass shards only hit and cut the girls? I did not ask her again about this whole event. We never forgot this night, and sometimes we still chat about what happened. A few years later, she stopped actively taking part in seances and summonings. My fascination with this stayed. And this night marked only the beginning for me. Hi, my little Calaveras. Now, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, all the good things. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun reading it and then also narrating it. I have my email as well as my socials linked in the description box down below. And yeah, this story, as much fun as I had, it took way longer than I anticipated to record. So I'm just gonna keep it short and sweet today. And remember, my little Calaveras, don't let anyone or anything steal your light. Check under your bed at night. And until next time, bye.